everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm your friendly neighborhood sassy blonde writer coming at you with some writing videos. Today I'm talking about some strongly held opinions I have about romance novels, romance subplots, etc, etc. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any fabulous content from your friendly neighborhood sassy blonde writer. I post once a week on Wednesdays and I feel they're always awesome, and I hope you do too. I just want to start this by saying these are my personal opinions and I'm going to talk about why I feel a certain way. If you have any favorite romance tropes that maybe I missed or maybe I would be interested in, please put them in the comments down below. Also, likewise, if you have any books in mind that fit these tropes or some of these things that I like, please also let me know down below. I'm always open to new book suggestions. There are going to be a lot of spoilers in this, just as a warning. Let's get started. So my first favorite trope that I'm going to just say kind of goes along with every other trope that I talk about. I love when two characters are in love and that pushes them to be better people. Now, I'm not talking about a relationship where they are being told by their partner that they have to change certain habits unless it's a really unhealthy habit. This is the love where even though you know that the person you're with would never really ask you to change who you are fundamentally. They would never ask you to be a more patient person. They would never ask you to stop speaking your mind. But they still inspire you to be a better version of yourself. Now, I love this trope so much because I think that's what love should be. Love should be complementing each other, and you should always feel like you can be yourself in a relationship. That's just one of my strongly held opinions. Your partner should never ask you to change who you are as a person. However, they should inspire you to be a better version of yourself, and they should challenge you in a way that makes you grow as a person. My favorite example of this trope is David and Patrick from Schitt's Creek. The reason why is because David is this anxious, neurotic, outspoken person when he first meets Patrick. Patrick, on the other hand, is a very easygoing, calm, level-headed person who is never really wanting to upset the status quo. When him and David meet, they are both each other's opposites. But rather than clashing together, the two of them kind of slowly just fall in love, and they push each other to be better. Patrick shows David that not everything is worth having a meltdown over, and David shows Patrick that it's okay to stand up for yourself if that's how you really feel. People don't really change unless they want to, but this kind of love always makes me feel warm and fuzzy because nobody's asking them to change. They're doing it on their own, and they're doing it because the other person inspired them to do it, not because they were told to do it. And I think that's beautiful. I think it's beautiful when somebody grows as a person, which kind of leads into another one that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. My next favorite trope is growing up and trying again. An example of this is Nick and Jess in The New Girl, also I guess Jess and Rory in Gilmore Girls, or Elliot and JD in Scrubs. This is a couple that they originally started dating. If it's in a TV show, they probably started dating around the first 3 seasons and then broke up because of internal issues that they both had. Usually it's because they're both immature and they have things that they need to work on. And then seasons later, it could be a couple of seasons later, it could be 10 seasons later, depending on how long the show is, but then they both come back to each other and they're mature people. They've been able to grow up. Usually this couple was dating in their early 20s and then they get back together in their late 20s, so they've had a lot of time to grow up and mature and work on their different issues, and when they come back together they're stronger than ever, and a lot of the drama from the previous relationship that they had, I guess you could say, is dealt with because they're more mature now. Sometimes it's because the couple got together too early, or sometimes it's because it was really a fling and then it just kind of fizzled out. But I love when the couple kind of realizes the mistakes they made in the relationship and they work on them and they're able to get back together. Another example of that is Ted and Alexis in Schitt's Creek as well. Alexis goes through probably the biggest transformation in Schitt's Creek, where she starts off as this just vapid, shallow girl, and then she turns into this really mature woman who's able to stand on her own and be independent. When she originally meets Ted, he has no self-confidence really, and he kind of lets her treat him like crap. And then they break up. Seasons later, they first become friends. So they have no romantic interest in each other at first, and they become coworkers, and then they get to know each other better and see the different sides of each other and kind of push each other to grow a little bit. And then they're able to admit that they love each other and get back together. So I love that trope because I just love seeing people have like a character arc, I guess, where they just grow as a person and they get over the issues that they originally had. And it's just beautiful. Mwah. Another romance trope I am trash for is when a couple is fake dating and then they fall actually in love. You can see Bridgerton for an example of this, and also The Proposal. I love when a couple originally gets together and it's a whole fake thing. Like in Bridgerton, the main couple gets together. It's a complete ruse, and it's just to help each other out. And then because they're spending so much time together, fake dating, they actually start to fall in love with each other, and then by the end they're like completely in love with each other. To All the Boys I've Loved Before is another example of that, where they're fake dating and then they fall in love, and it's like, I know what's gonna happen. I know as soon as they start fake dating, supposedly to get their old crush's attention, that they're gonna fall in love, but I will watch it literally every single time. I will watch it. I don't care what the reason is. I don't care if it's like The Proposal, where she's trying to save her career and save herself from getting deported, and then she falls in love with Ryan Reynolds. I don't care. I am trash for this trope, and I admit it. I also love the enemies to lovers trope, or the hate to love trope as well. I think the example of this, I'm not including the sequel, but Children of Blood and Bone, where they start off just like hating each other so much, and then there's a lot of melodrama happens, but then they fall in love in the first book. I haven't finished reading the second book, so no spoilers, please. But yeah, I'm trash for that trope. I love seeing people hate each other and then like slowly growing to fall in love with each other. Also see Pride and Prejudice, because Darcy and Lizzie Bennet hate each other at the beginning. They cannot stand each other. And then they start to learn more about each other, and that's like, oh, I guess I kind of like you now. Oh, I guess I kind of like you too. I find your company tolerable. Oh, thank you. I find you not completely annoying to be around too. Oh my god. I love that trope. It's fun to watch, especially like in Pride and Prejudice, you see it coming and you know it's gonna happen because it's all based off of misunderstanding. But I just love seeing it unfold. I'm trash for it. Another romance trope, and this one's kind of like a romance / breakup trope that I love, even though it hurts my heart so bad, is the we just want different things trope. Also known as the still in love but not together trope. This one breaks my heart because I know so many people in real life who go through this. When I think of this trope, I think of Monica and Richard from Friends, and I also think of Alexis and Ted in Schitt's Creek. I'm sorry, I'm talking about Schitt's Creek a lot, but like, oh, the show is so good. Like I was saying, breakups hurt. Most of the time in pop culture, it's shown as this kind of one-sided thing where there's one hurt party, that's it. Nobody cares about the other person. Usually it's because so-and-so cheated on them or something like that. Where you have the hurt party who got dumped versus the person who did the dumping, who you just assume is fine because they were the ones who broke it off. But that's not always the case, and that's why I like this trope, because it shows that you can still love each other and not want to be together. Like in Marriage Story, you can still love each other but just want different things, and if either of you end up compromising, you're both gonna end up being unhappy. And that's one of the things that happens in Friends with Monica and Richard, where Richard doesn't want to have kids because he's older. He doesn't want to have kids. He's okay with getting married, but he doesn't want to be an old father. And Monica, more than anything, wants to get married and have children. And it is so heartbreaking to watch them break up because of a completely understandable reason. And again, there's no person really in the wrong for that. It just didn't work out. That's actually a very common reason for why people break up. You could have a completely functional relationship and then you find that out and it's just not a good scene. Even if they were perfect together, sometimes that's what breaks them up. Alexis and Ted, spoiler alert, break up on Schitt's Creek because Ted has a job opportunity in the Galapagos and he doesn't want Alexis to be there because she'd be miserable the whole time. And Alexis is trying to start off her career and needs to be near a major city with like cell service and Wi-Fi so that way she can build on her career. And so the two of them break up, which is so heartbreaking to watch because they had to do what was right for them and what was right for their career, even though they love each other so much. I cried when that scene came up. And they tried to do long distance while he was in the Galapagos, and it just didn't work out because long distance is hard. I believe long distance can only really work if you have a game plan to end up together in the same place, and that just wasn't the case for Ted and Alexis. And it's sad, but it happens a lot more often than people think. These breakups break my heart, but in the best possible way. I also love the trope of, and you were right there the whole time and I never knew. I just love the trope of like falling in love with like your childhood best friend who's been there all along and seen you through so many different versions of yourself. So for example, there's Emma, if you just leave out the age difference and the fact that they're like distantly related. Emma falls in love with the guy who's been there the whole time. It's the same thing in Clueless, because Clueless is the modern version of Emma. He's seen her grow up so much and been by her side the whole time. And I think that's always just like really sweet, falling in love with your best friend. Very girl next door-y type of thing, but I'm trash for it. That's all I've got for you today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this Valentine's Day themed video. Please remember to like this video if you want more content like this, more trope talk. And, of course, hit subscribe so that way you don't miss any fabulous content from your friendly neighborhood, Sassy Blonde Writer. Happy romancing and happy writing.